Welcome to Weibo, Sun, and Bella Hike the Maine Woods, Episode 1, Fore River Sanctuary.
Waterfall!
On this hike, we went down the Fore River Sanctuary. It's an area that we've never hiked before. In all the years that I've lived in the Portland area, I've heard of it, but never hiked it. This was one of the more beautiful hikes that we've taken. There's all kinds of marshland where you can see all kinds of animals and birds.
May I mention there's a waterfall, if you couldn't tell already?
You can find all kinds of information about the Fore River Sanctuary on trails.org. It is part of the Portland Trails Network. The Fore River Sanctuary is an 85-acre preserve that was donated to the Portland Trails by the Jewell family, who is one of the members of the Portland Trails.
The waterfall is named after them.
And the waterfall is named Jewell Falls. There are 4 entrances into the Fore River Sanctuary. The one that we took was the south entrance, which is off of Congress Street. The best place to park to get into the south entrance is at the Maine Orthopedics lot at 1601 Congress using the Frost Street entrance. You can also access the sanctuary from the north end at Row Ave off of Brighton Ave. You can find all this information on the website at trails.org. The Fore River Sanctuary is home of Jewell Falls, which we've already talked about, which is Portland's only natural waterfall and the site of the former Cumberland and Oxford Canal.
I need to give it the beginner, the first rating. And as you know, I rate it. My first rating for now is beginner. I'll touch back at the end, like last episode. Now you can.
The sanctuary is open from dawn to dusk year-round, and pets are allowed as long as they're accompanied by responsible adults, so dogs would have to be on leash. There are some areas that animals are not allowed in. We did not see any of those areas on our hike. The hike that we took, we headed for the Jewell Falls, and it's a straight hike in. You go over these little bridges here that you're seeing now, and over the marshland. And then once you get over the marshland, you come to some more elevated hiking areas where you're going up into the woods. You're heading for the waterfall. The area, as you can see here, is all kinds of marshland. So you're going to see lots of birds. We saw a number of ducks. There's a plaque here that commemorates the people that donated to build this bridge. The trail is marked very well with white blazes, so it's not that difficult to follow. There were a couple of instances where we ran into a few problems, but we backtracked and found the white blazes again and continued on.
And at one point I had a great fall, but that's not on recording. It was when we were near Blue Falls.
On the day that we chose to hike for Fore River Sanctuary, we weren't really planning on hitting Fore River Sanctuary. We were headed for Mackworth.
Yep, and it got pretty hard. It got pretty hard. We weren't planning it. We didn't know anything. We didn't know that much about this place. And as we promised, soon we'll be uploading a caribou hike too. And so I'm not really sure if I should plug any books in this episode. I'm not sure any of for all those people out there who love graphic novels in Japan and things, these aren't gonna be exactly related to the hike, but I love these type of Japanese graphic novels, manga. I call it manga. Some people call it manga. Doesn't matter. So I've got a recommendation. Read the Dragon Ball manga series. It's about a young Dragon Ball, then Dragon Ball Z, but and it's about a young boy with a tail who meets a teenage girl trying to find these Dragon Balls, and once you find all 7 of them, you get your wish granted by a dragon god. So, yeah.
So as we were hiking through the Fore River Sanctuary, we came across numerous types of trees, very different vegetation. There are some spots along through here where you're going to see some. There's an apple tree that actually is growing just off of the marsh that had a ton of apples on it that aren't even close to ready to go. And coming up through here, we're going to see some cat nine-tails. Now, one of the things about the cat nine-tails, and this kind of links to some future episodes when we do some foraging, but cat nine-tails are extremely edible. They are also something that can be used to insulate. The Native Americans used the big brown fuzzy tops as insulation in their huts.
But be careful.
And they use the roots. They will dig the roots up and make a poultice out of them, and it's kind of like almost like poi, I guess. But the part that I'm aware of that I've got experience with is that just before, like when they're young, before they blossom up,
Here they are.
They have these green. It's basically the brown part, the big fuzzy brown part before it matures, and you can cut these off and steam them and toss them with a little bit of butter, salt, and pepper, and then you eat them kind of like an ear of corn. And the wild part is they taste very much like corn, and they're very good for you.
But be very careful because if you eat the wrong part, it can be poisonous.
No, actually, there's another plant that is a lily that looks very similar to these that is poisonous. The actual cat nine-tails are not poisonous.
Okay.
Although you do want to be careful where you pick them from, because the cat nine-tails are actual filters for the environment. Yeah. So if you're picking them out of a polluted stream, see here's the apple tree here. If you're picking the cat nine-tails out of a polluted stream or an area that's very dirty, there's going to be toxins or things that aren't so great for you. And you see someone approaching us here. We did come into contact with a number of people. This is a fairly popular trail. We saw people mountain biking. We've seen people jogging, other people just walking. It is a very easy trail to maneuver through. That gets a little bit steep as we're coming up through here. We're getting into the woods now, and it becomes a little bit more challenging because of the tree roots that you're dealing with. But overall, it's a relatively easy hike. It was about 2.5 miles round trip. You hike into the falls, and then you turn around and hike back out. So it's a lengthy hike. It was hot that day, very sunny and humid. So it was important to have water with us, and you also have to have water for Bella, so that she doesn't get dehydrated as well. And as I was saying, we were planning on doing Mackworth this day, so we didn't have a lot of information on this hike. But we got to Mackworth Island.
The lot was full.
The lot was full. So they turned us around and said we couldn't park and we couldn't hike. So we decided, let's go to Plan B, and we'll go to the Fore River Sanctuary, even though we hadn't really researched it or prepared as well as we should have. So it made it more of an adventure, I guess, than anything. It's also kind of strange that we're right in the middle of a city, and if you look around, like we've got the wind blowing through
makes it really cool.
The marsh grass, which was beautiful. But you have it's hard to believe that you're in the middle of a city, and you're hiking through the woods, and you're hiking through the marsh and the grasses and the birds and everything. You're really not hearing any traffic sounds. It's just a very peaceful and tranquil environment to be in.
And by the way, the waterfall is good too. And I'm actually during this episode, I told my dad what to do. I was the director, because I had a device that allowed me to see what he was seeing through the camera that we're using.
Right.
And it's less shaky too.
And yes, we chose to use a head-mounted camera harness, then instead of using the chest harness, in hopes that it wouldn't be as shaky. Our first episode we felt was very shaky, and wasn't the best quality of video. So we were happy with what we saw with this one. It's a lot less shaky, and it also made it easier to pan around from side to side because all I had to do was turn my head.
There's a big cut after we do to the waterfall, and then we go straight back to the entrance. Our camera's battery was dying, and it was a pretty long hike back, so.
Right. So what we did was we cut it off as soon as we got to the falls, which was the end. Here we come to the falls now. We ended here, and then we hiked back out and restarted the recording so that we could show the entrance from another angle.
And it's very muddy, by the way.
Yes, it was quite a muddy hike because it had rained a good chunk of the week, and a lot of heavy rain. And where there are mountain bikers, they kind of stir up the mud as well. It wasn't that much of a problem. You're able to skirt the muddy areas, and they also have some bridge walkways that will take you over.
I need to get started on that. Okay, so for a hike, I'm going to change this again to easy/intermediate, so easy-mediate, I guess, because it was fairly easy and fairly hard. For a rating of trees,
I'd give it 5 trees just because it was such a beautiful hike.
5 trees.
And you can see here in the marsh area there's some ducks that we caught fishing for something to eat. And this is back at the beginning, where as we're coming to the exit, you can now see power lines and everything, and you can see that we're starting to head back towards the sign or the signage.
Okay, so as some last words from me, please like, comment, and hike on that subscribe button.
And coming up next, we're going to have a little hike from Caribou, Maine, which is about a 5.5-hour drive away from Portland. We found a small area to hike around through there, and that'll come a week after this one gets posted. So we hope you enjoyed our hike through Fore River Sanctuary. Have a great hike.